All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Slow Damage. We've just met our artist flower shop love interest. He's not a love interest. I just kind of, he has something about him. And I'm not just saying that because he's a pretty boy working in a flower shop. But he's also probably our little delinquent that's cutting up people left and right. Because he's definitely done that to us. He's a freak who drinks absinthe, mind you. So, anyway, welcome back. Hope I got you caught up, right? Anyway, good evening. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting you. At this, the manager looked at each of us in turn. Do you perhaps know each other? Oh, intimately, manager. Oh, kind of. Now that's a surprise. It's a small world, I suppose. No kidding. Oh my god, he has a crush on us. Look at him blush. He has a crush. I mean, he has been sending us flowers, so and he's treated us differently from all the other people he tore up. Maybe it's because we have so many scars. He's kind of like, like a moth to a flame. Ikuina nodded bashfully, then looked up at me. I'm surprised to see you too. Call me Toa. Or call me Euphoria. Toa-san. Oh my god, he's so cute. Look at him, puppy. Smiling, he repeated my name carefully. I never imagined you were actually Euphoria, my favorite artist. You've seen my art? Oh yes, I love your art very much. There was a feverish glimmer in Ikuina's gaze. When I first laid eyes on your work, I was struck to my core. It was love at first sight. That's how impactful it was to me. I don't know if I can even describe it in words. It pierced right through my heart. Oh my god, that's so flattering. That's how I feel whenever there's a new Flower Face song. Oh, look at him. He's pleased. That is adorable. Now you're exaggerating. Adorable. They're enjoying themselves. No, I'm not. But to think I had actually met the artist without realizing. Destiny sure is something else. The word destiny instantly made me suspicious. I took a sip of whiskey. Yeah, it's too much, maybe. I saw your art on the blog. It's not actually a wound at all, is it? At this, Ikuina looked away, still smiling. Correct. It's actually made of flower petals. Oh, that's beautiful. Nice. Really? Flowers? Yes, I crushed the flowers into the shape I want, then used image editing software to adjust it. I love that. I should try that sometime. But then again, I can't bring myself to crush flowers. Since Ikuina worked at a flower shop, he probably had easy access to whatever flowers the store failed to sell. Ah, yeah, of course. Well, if they're almost wilted, then yeah, they would be perfect. Still, who would have thought to use flowers to create the appearance of a cut? Really nice. Also kind of creepy. What inspired you to make that image? Well, hesitantly he fell silent and looked away. It was when I saw you for the first time. You know that one day I picked you up off the street? That was me, by the way. We all know it. Pinching my cig between my fingers, I flicked the ash into an ashtray, then took another drag. Oh, he's so cute. I was planning to wait until Ikuina started talking, but the silence lingered. I glanced over to find him gazing passionately at my hand. Excuse me? Looking at something. I waved the hand that was seemingly the focus of his attention, and he snapped to his senses. Okay, not so sweet anymore. Oh, I'm so sorry. You just what?
Yeah.
It's fine. Is it the scars? Oh, okay, that's what they're getting at. I thought he was looking at the wound that he inflicted himself. I was like, freak. But this, yeah, okay, that's fine. I held up the back of my hand where raised scars snaked like worms. Ikuina was immediately drawn in once more. Toa-san, these scars of yours. Self-inflicted. Oh, look, and it's kind of like a wound that's been stitched. I have more of them too, all over my body. From what, sweetheart? What happened to you? I rolled up my coat sleeve to reveal my arm. His eyes swiftly glued to the countless dark taut scars. His reddish-purple smoke brightened. How'd you get so many? I like him. Oh, I see. Interesting. So you put them there yourself? Kind of like a self-inflicted tattoo? I nodded. He frowned at me in disbelief. But not in disgust. Nah, I think he's kind of aroused, which is weird. Toa-san. He looked up at me with determination in his eyes. I have a request. Or rather, Euphoria's looking for art models, right? Right. Could I be your model? As he spoke, he fixed me with a beseeching look. Well, Toa? No. Ah, I refused him point blank. Ah, poor baby. I only paint when I want to, and right now I don't want to paint you. Ah. Right, of course. That's a shame. Aww. He was clearly disappointed, but didn't seem ready to give up. But if you don't want to paint me right now, then that means I have a chance someday, right? Sure, you could say that. Though I couldn't guarantee when that day would roll around. But still. That's kind of sweet. I'm going to keep holding out hope. Would you be willing to exchange phone numbers? Oh! I'm so flip-floppy with my opinion of him. He's kind of like, oh, cute, and then again, oh, weirdly disturbing, but then again, cute, and then, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this guy. Apparently, this guy was more persistent than he looked. His eyes remained firm. Sure. I nodded without hesitation. He blinked at me in surprise. I had no real reason for agreeing to his request. I just didn't mind giving out my contact info to whoever I wanted it. What? Are you also the sort that doesn't answer his phone? I can relate to that. We pulled out our cell phones and exchanged numbers. Thank you so much. Oh, that reminds me. If you're interested, Ikuina lifted the paper bag at his feet. Oh. Oh. So many thorns. Then he reached inside and pulled out a single blue flower. This is a blue rose. Pretty, isn't it? I'm only allowed to take home the flowers that can't be sold, so it's slightly damaged, but sweet. As I took the rose, he smiled. I'm so glad I met you today. Thank you so much. Is that absinthe? Are you a freak? I interrupted the flow of... You're a freak! Anyway, I interrupted the flow of conversation to indicate his glass. He hastily looked down at his drink. Oh, yes, it is. I'm impressed you recognized it. Yeah, I tried it once.
きなの
The
か
manager here let me try some the other day. Do you like it?
はい。トワさんはどうですか？アブさ
I
ん。
do. What about you? Do you like absinthe? Nobody does.
嫌いじゃ
I'm
ない
not opposed to it.
そうなんですね。それじゃあまた今度ゆっくり飲み
I
ましょう。
see. Well then, perhaps next time we can drink some together. I have other shit to do. He downed the rest of his drink and rose from his stool. Then with a polite bow, he headed to the register to pay his tab. I cannot stop looking at this picture. It's so... There's just something about it, isn't there? They're all very emotional. Like most of them, right? It's like... But this one, there's something about it. This one kind of reminds me of a Minecraft picture. You know that one skull in Minecraft? Maybe it looks completely different. It just kind of reminds me of that. Right. He downed the rest of his drink and rose from his stool. Then with a polite bow, he headed to the register to pay his tab. He's leaving first. Interesting. I sipped on my drink, listened to the tap of his shoes as he left the bar. As the alcohol slid down my throat, the manager shot me a look.
どうだった
What did you think? Weirdo. Cute weirdo.
ま
He was alright.
モデルとしては
Potential art model?
なしだ
No way. Oh, it's a no way? Didn't expect that.
そうなんだ
Really?
残
That's a shame.
でもあの画像の作者だからねもしかしたら化ける
I
かもよ
mean, looking at his art, he might have some hidden debts. Definitely has. He's a psycho.
かもな
Maybe. With that brisk retort, I crushed my cigarette in the ashtray. Then, on a whim, I glanced at the blue rose on the counter. Under the bar lights, the veins in the petals stood out sharply. After I left Roost, I staggered home in the direction of Murase Clinic. Please make it home this time, actually, please. He left before us. This makes me very apprehensive. At one point, I paused and looked over my shoulder. I thought I felt someone's eyes on me, probably because he's watching us. But no matter how many times I checked, all I saw were dark buildings with no signs of human life. I mean, he does have kind of an everyman face, right? He's easy to not see. I heard a car approaching, then heard it pass by. Guess it was all in my head. No, always trust your instincts. Head home, Toa. With that thought, I kept going. Was it established that we could fight? Are we like... Shinkomi Times from A to Z. A victim speaks out about the mysterious goddess of whimsy. Are there really secret death matches? We've got the scoop. A victim speaks out about the mysterious... Blah, blah, blah. Our source, who we'll call A, says they were knocked unconscious while out on a delivery and woke up with a bandaged arm. So they were knocked out? He's devolving, right? Because, like, before, he always went for people who were already passed out, but now he's knocking out people. But who was behind it all? Read our full investigation below. Ah. Okay. Huh. Sus. Very, very sus. Oh, he's so pretty. When I returned to my apartment, I switched on the TV, sat down on the sofa, and started drawing in my sketch pad. Oh, the blue rose. All my energy was focused on drawing a flower. Specifically, the blue rose Ikuina gave me at Roost. Did he take it with him? Did we take it home? For some reason, as soon as I got home, I felt a strong impulse to draw it. I wasn't sure why. Maybe because of its unusual color. Haven't played Ib, huh? Generally, I preferred to draw people. I had no interest in landscapes or still life, so I rarely drew them. Same. I just started that recently because I have no idea how to draw landscapes and still life because I only ever draw people. It's a good exercise sometimes. My desire to draw was erratic at best, but I was only struck with the impulse on rare occasions. Even I couldn't predict when the urge would strike. Hana. Flowers. Such a pretty flower. Did he behead the flower? Occasionally I paused to look at the blue rose as I worked. Flowers were delicate, soft, living things. They needed sustenance to stay alive, and without it, they withered and died. It was smooth and rounded, if I crushed it in my palm, it leaked fluid. I'd never stopped to examine a flower before, but now that I was trying to capture one on paper, I could kind of understand why Freys liked them so much. The faintly damp petals were reminiscent of skin, the veins not unlike those in a human body, the moisture like blood. Yeesh, I never looked at a rose that way before. Normally roses were red, but if red was the color of passion, then perhaps blue was the color of cold rationality. There's also other rose colors, like orange, for example, and pink. What did blue roses signify, anyway? Isn't it like sadness and like sorrow and loneliness, something like that? Isn't it like sorrow and like admiration again? Like kind of like no, wait, it was mystery. I think it was signaling like a mysterious person. Come to think of it, Ray had mentioned something about flower language. Pink gerbers meant sublime beauty. Red geraniums meant I'm happy that you're here. Was there a meaning of blue roses too? I decided to search it up. Found it. Blue roses didn't exist in nature, so their meaning was originally unattainable. Ah, interesting. But as science progressed, they changed the meaning to dream come true. I've never heard that before. Is that really what they mean? I mean, it makes sense. I kind of like the meaning of that. But I feel like it used to be something different. But then again, flower language is something that's different no matter who you ask, right? Depending on who you ask. I like this meaning. An impossible dream made real. Ikuna's gleeful face flashed through my mind. So he already knew who we were. I'm pretty sure he already knew who we were because he had this flower prepared. Like, there's no such coincidence. And an impossible dream come true is kind of like insinuating his meeting with us, probably. Ikuna's gleeful face flashed through my mind. He said he loved my art, that I was his favorite artist. Yeah, unattainable dream. From his perspective, perhaps it really was a dream come true. That's creepy. It's kind of creepy because he knew. Like, what? The coincidence that he just happened to have a blue rose with him, that symbolizes exactly that, after we've already established he definitely knows flower language, right? I'm pretty sure he already knows who we are. Otherwise, he wouldn't have treated us special anyway. I mean, yes, he's probably intrigued by what we looked like, right? But also, like, I don't know. I feel like he knows. I gazed at the flower in my hand. Its petals were hanging open limply, and the leaves were on the verge of withering. When I leaned in, I could smell a strange, sour, smelly... When I leaned in, I could smell a strange, sour smell faintly mixed in with the natural fragrance of the rose. Natural fragrance of a rose. Actually, you know what? Flowers, like especially roses, that look perfect like this, right? With like big buds. Big buds. Anyway, they are usually bred for looks. And they've, over time, with like selective breeding, lost all their fragrance. So nowadays, flowers that you buy from flower shops that look really great and like perfect, so to speak, they usually smell like nothing anymore. They don't have any sort of smell. So any smell that you actually smell from them is from like specialized perfumes. You know, flower shops have their own perfumes that they spritz on the flowers so they smell, because after all that selective breeding, they smell like nothing anymore. Anyway, it was just a flower, its life easily terminated by human hands. If it were a sentient creature, what would it say with its last breath? Oh, you can't do that! How could you? I rested the rose on my palm and slowly closed my fingers around it. I can't believe you, Toa! A dull blue lump withering in my hand. In the darkness, it almost looked like a rotting human heart. Jesus Christ! Okay, I never looked at flowers that way before. Jesus. Oh, pendulum. Subscribe. Not after all these shenanigans. I'm so sorry. This episode is all over the place, isn't it? This looks really weird. A shimmering scarlet light, swaying gently like flower petals. The light was fuzzy, like vision blurred by tears. I was sitting, knees tucked up to my chin. I could sense someone kneeling close behind me. Huh. So is this our trauma from when we were a child? A slender hand reached out and cupped my cheek. Following the fingers, I looked up. Mother? Interesting hand. Silhouetted by the scarlet light, their face was inscrutable. I could hear them speaking to me in a soft voice, but couldn't make out the words either. Softly, they stroked my cheek. Not with that hand, thank you. The hand was sweet, delicate, and weird looking, and tragically cold. Huh. Okay. Oh, pendulum again. Comment and like. Sorry. Was this our mother? It's kind of like a tainted dream because our mother's dead. Tragically cold, like a corpse. The next day, technically, I was scheduled to work the morning shift, but I didn't wake up until minutes beforehand. Considering Taku didn't come to wake me up, I was ahead of schedule by my standards. Well. An hour after the clinic opened, I finally arrived downstairs. There, I found Arimura doing my job. He let me take his place, glaring at me all the while. Why, Arimura? I'm very ahead of schedule this time. Shouldn't you praise me? He's so cute when he's working. I really like his working space. So I followed my usual dull routine at work, and when I blink, at lunchtime rolled around.
Konnichiwa.
Ah, hello there. Hi, Ikuina. You have another bouquet for us? I heard a soft voice and looked up. Standing there was Ikuina, holding some kind of basket. Thank you again for the No, wait. Thank you again for the other day. His lips curled in a giddy grin as he spoke under his breath. Likewise. No. Reflexively, I inclined my head slightly. I have a delivery for Murase Clinic. Oh, Stiefmütterchen. As he spoke, he raised the basket in his hand for me to see. Inside were small purple flowers. These used to be my favorite flowers when I was small. I loved them so much. I have no idea what they're called in English. Stiefmütterchen in English, in German. It's translated to... hang on. Stiefmutter is... like a new mother. Stiefmutter is not mother, but like the mother that kind of married your... Like the woman that married your father. And that is now your mother is your stepmother. Stiefmütterchen is stepmother, but in cute. Stepmothery, kind of. I don't know. It's a cute way of saying Stiefmutter, stepmother, right? Anyway, I don't know. Does anyone care? I'm probably not. Anyway, the anonymous guy again. Hi. Yes. He shot me a guilty look. The clinic had now received 3 different bouquets. We all know it's you, Ikuina. I rose to my feet and accepted the basket of flowers along with a payment slip. As I did, I caught a hint of a peculiar scent, one I'd smelled a few times before. For a moment, I'm reminded of the absinthe I drank at Roost, but it wasn't quite the same. It's probably just the root. Like wormwood or whatever. Actually, I'd like to request medical services while I'm here. For a wound? Medical services? Yes, you see, I accidentally injured myself. Accidentally, right. Sweetness, I feel like this was no accident. He rolled up his sleeve to reveal a white bandage. Did you fall? No, How much are you willing to bet it's a gash? Yeah, sure, Ikuina, sure. My hand slipped while I was trimming a plant with garden shears. Are you a first-time patient here? Yes. Hi. I set the basket of flowers on the counter, picked up a pen and a clipboard bearing our new patient form and handed them to him. Fill out this form. He took the form and sat down on an empty bench to fill it out. Just then, Ray appeared at the end of the hall. He wasn't scheduled to work today, but he didn't have plans, so he came to help regardless. What? Okay, interesting. Hello, Ray. Oh my god.
あら、何そのカゴって、もしかして。
I mean, is Ikuina gonna freak out when I flirt with Ray? Let's try it out. Oh, what's with the basket? Wait, let me guess. Yep. He pulled the basket close and frowned down at the contents.
また匿名希望さんからなのね。これで3回目。
Another gift from Mr. Anonymous. This is the third time now.
もしかしたら LINE した時に自分が送った花が飾られているのを見てテンションが上がってみたいな感じで続いちゃってるのかしら。
Maybe he saw us displaying his flowers and, I don't know, like, took it as an encouraging sign to keep doing it. I feel like Ikuina is trying to deliver a message to us. You know? All 3 flowers kind of like meant something that actually worked. I don't know what Stiefmütterchen kind of mean, but I feel like he's slowly disseminating a message to us.
花は可愛いけど。
Really cute flowers, though. With a strange smile, he admired the blossoms. Ah!
この花。
Pansies! Right! That's what they're
と
called.
っても綺麗な紫。花言葉は。
These are pansies, aren't they? Gorgeous deep purple color. Now, what do they mean in flower language? I like the ones that are purple, white, and yellow. They're the cutest ones, in my opinion.
確か思慮深いとか物思いとかそんな感じだっ
I
たか
think
し
it's
ら。
thoughtful, pensive, something like that. Interesting.
パンジーってもっとロマンチックな花言葉だったような気がするんだけど。とは知って
I
る？
could have sworn pansies had a more romantic meaning. Toa, do you know? Why are you asking us? Obviously we don't.
と思う
You
か
really think I'd know?
そうよね。
Right. He momentarily forgot we were that kind of person.
あなたのことで胸がいっぱい。
Ikuina, you're all I can think about. Ikuina, please leave the store. Oh God. I turned at the sound of the quiet voice. Ikuina was standing there, clipboard in hand. Evidently, he had finished filling out the form. Ray and I exchanged a glance. Then Ikuina smiled bashfully.
すみません。紫のパンジーの英語の花言葉です。話が聞こえてきたからつい。
Sorry, that's what purple pansies signify in English flower language. I couldn't help but overhear you, so...
やだ。びっくりしたわ。愛の告白かと思っちゃったじゃない。でもすぐに花言葉が出てくるなんてさすがは花屋さんね。
God, you scared me. I almost thought you were confessing your love. To you, Ray, anytime. I should have known a flower shop worker would have all the flower meanings memorized.
そんな。
Oh, it's nothing. He is really cute when he blushes, you know, if he wasn't such a psycho. He fumbled shyly in response to Ray's flattery. I shifted my gaze to the purple flowers in the basket. You're all I can think about. That was the significance of purple pansies. Gerbera, sublime beauty. Geranium, I'm happy that you're here. When you put all 3 together, it really started to feel like a passionate message. Definitely. Also put in the blue rose on there. Almost like the sender was madly in love. Yeah. Emphasis on mad. These anonymous gifts each secretly possess deep significance, almost like a cry for help. Of course, it wouldn't be unreasonable to dismiss all of this as a coincidence, but I sensed someone's gaze and looked up. Ikuina was staring right at me. And like last time, there was a feverish look in his eyes. So uncomfortable. The smoke that rose up from him took on a faint red tint, swaying endlessly. He was the only one who knew that the mystery sender looked like. Conversely, no one else knew except him. Gerberas, geraniums, pansies. Ikuina had delivered all 3. And also the blue rose. Thank you. Put more emphasis on that. Then I remembered the blue rose he gave me. Blue roses, dream come true.
これお願いします。
Here you are. He offered me the clipboard holding his completed form, all without once breaking eye contact. He really likes us. For a few seconds, we stared at each other in silence. Then I took the clipboard.
生稲さん、診察を受けるの？
Ikuina-san, you're here for the doctor? No, he really isn't. I'm sorry, but he really isn't here for the doctor.
はい。少し怪我をしてしまったので。
Yes, I've injured myself slightly.
あらやだ。大丈夫？呼ばれるまで椅子に座って待ってて
Oh
ね。
my god, are you okay? Stay seated until we call for you.
はい。
Right. I feel like he's very unstable with his affection for us. So if anyone butts in like Ray, without even realizing, could become a target, right?
それじゃ、花は預かるわよ。
Now then, I'll go ahead and take these flowers. Ray took the basket and the payment slip and walked off down the hall. Back to business as usual. I stared at my work screen, feeling Yukiina's gaze boring into me. I thought back to the night I encountered him at Roost. I couldn't prove it, but my gut was telling me something. What is it telling you, Toa? Please speak up. There's no wrong answers. Only wrong questions. When it was time for his appointment, Ikuina went into the exam room. Then he returned to the waiting room 10 minutes later. He's watching me again. Obviously he is. I could feel it without even looking up to confirm. Ikuina was staring at me. Jesus Christ, that's so creepy! Pretending not to notice, I kept working. Then it came time for Ikuina to pay his bill. Honestly, I had a stalker back in the day when I was still going to high school. I think it was like 10th or 11th grade. I had a stalker for a time. I was lucky that my stalker was stalking other people as well. And they took action, right? There was like a handful of girls, like I think pretty much they were all kind of my age. I only met with 2 of them. I don't know if there's many others. I know there were others. So there's at least 3 of us that he's, you know. And it was really, it was horrible because he kind of targeted the tram that I took to and from school every day. And he thought that I was a teacher. And I remember that usually when people talk to me and I don't really want to engage in anything, right? Especially in that city, there were a lot of like weird people, if you know what I mean. I always kind of like spoke in English, like, I'm sorry, I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. Usually it doesn't really work, but it's better than actually engaging in a proper conversation sometimes, you know? What I'm trying to say is I usually pretend not to notice anything. Like even the atrocious stuff he did, right? I always kind of like looked away, kept smiling, like acting like I knew absolutely nothing. And, you know, I was a kid then. So I didn't really know how to act. And that's the best thing I could do. But nowadays, that's like the worst thing you can do, right? That's the worst thing because it'll egg them on even more. And also if you like do something wrong, kind of like, you know, distort their weird vision of you, they can become violent. So this is actually the worst thing you can do. If someone's stalking you, you have to take action. You cannot pretend not to notice because it'll do nothing, if you know what I mean, right? Sorry, long tangent again, but I mean, I'm sure you're getting used to it by now. It's just kind of a PSA, you know? If you're getting stalked, find out if other people are getting stalked as well and kind of like get together because together you can actually make a difference, if you know what I mean, right? Anyway, I kept working. Then it came to time for Ikuina to pay his bill.
Ikuina-san. Ikuina Takashi-san.
He said his name. Ikuina stood up and walked to the reception counter. When I looked up at him, he gazed back at me intensely. He's probably like replaying us saying his name over and over in his head.
1070 yen になります。
It'll be 1,070 yen.
トワさん、
Yeah, that's me. As he placed his cash onto the receipt tray, he spoke to me in a breathy whisper.
本当は今日作品を作ろうとして失敗しちゃったんです。これ。
The truth is, I got this injury trying to create a new art piece. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm getting so fucking uncomfortable with all of this. Like, I'm actually shivering, if you know what I mean. It's like so eerie. Really, Jesus. I mean, I knew that he would do that, but also like he rubbed his arm as he spoke.
結構ざっくりやっちゃったんですけど、跡が残ったりするのかな、トワさんみたいに。
I stabbed myself pretty hard. I wonder if it'll leave a scar. You know, like one of yours. Apparently this was Phrase talking. Okay, he spoke as if this was some accident, and yet his voice carried a hint of glee. Almost like he was hoping for a scar. Almost like he wants you to praise him or get excited for him. We shouldn't have been so nice to him. Back at Bruce, he'd kept staring at mine, with a hungry look in his eyes now that I thought about it. Clearly, this guy was into cigars, which is not horrible, you know, there's all kinds of kinks out there, but also, like, this is, I don't know, it's just so weird. I'm not saying it's weird because of what it is. I'm saying it's weird because it's him and the way he's expressing it, because it feels very strangely forceful, if you know what I mean. Or was he just curious about them? Most people just like the aesthetic. I had no interest in those people. That's not what he wants to hear. So which one was he? Take care. That's not what he wanted to hear. Once he finished paying, I spoke in a cold, steely voice. Oh, and you can keep your flowers. Oh, you might actually be making him mad now, Toa. You need to be careful. Look at him. Oh God. I'm actually really, really scared for us right now. He gasped and furrowed his brow. Then he turned on his heel and strode out of the building. He didn't say anything more. I have a really terrible feeling about this. With this, my suspicions was confirmed. The anonymous flower sender was Equina. Yeah, of course it was. And all of the flower's secret meanings were directed at me, the artist Euphoria. I couldn't stand roundabout methods like this. Normally, I'd cut ties over it. But not this time. Because he's also Phrase? He was Phrase, the artist behind the wound photo. And I couldn't deny he had potential as a motif. As Euphoria, I captured humanity's darkest desires on my canvas. And there was at least a chance that he might secretly fit the bill. Yeah, he definitely does. He's really obsessive. Therefore, I decided to keep an eye on him for a little longer. Oh God, this is playing with fire, Toa-kyun. Playing with fire. He's so pretty, though. The purple pansies were the last anonymous flower delivery we received. Nice, he got the message. Equina of Phrase was nowhere to be seen. Any more victims? Or is he now victimizing himself? Instead, he started submitting a lot of art pieces to the fourth phase. While the images were brighter and more powerful, they were all kind of samey. Still, he was moving in a positive direction. If this was a direct result of me rejecting him, then perhaps this was a prelude to the real deal. Yeah, you know, Criminal Minds again. He's already devolving to like actually not just going for people who've knocked themselves out, but actually knocking people out. And now you've given him a rejection, like something really, really hard, a hard hit to his psyche. He might actually freak out sooner or later, you know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like it could be against us now. Once all the traces of Equina vanished, or even worse, it could go against some of our friends, you know, like the other people in the clinic. Once all traces of Equina vanished, I went back to my regular slothful life. Oh my God, because he knows our favorite bar, and he's seen Ray working at the clinic and working at the bar and being friendly with us. You know, Ray could be the target. But then again, Ray can protect himself, right? He's really, really strong. I don't know. I want to know where this goes. Let's see. That day, I drifted in and out of sleep until well past noon. Then the door flew open and Taku ran in. Toa, wake up and help. Oh God, he snapped. I wasn't scheduled to work today, so it had to be an emergency. Yep, he snapped. I got dressed and headed down to the first floor. When I entered the exam room, the first thing I heard was a man groaning. Who? Oh, it's a gangster.
一体どうなってあったよ。
Oh, fuck, DM, what the hell?
触っちゃダメよ。おとなしくしていて。
Don't touch it, just stay still. It was a small-time gangster in a cheap, brightly colored shirt, stained red around the midsection. He was lying on the exam table, grimacing in pain while Ray examined his wound.
変わろう。
I'll take over.
あ、ほら、先生が来たから。もう大丈夫よ。
Oh, the doctor's here now. You're going to be okay. Relieved, Ray backed away from the patients, and Taku immediately started treatment.
有村君には今、受付に入ってもらってるから。
We've got Arimura-kun working the reception desk right now. Ray whispered as he walked up beside me.
俺より有村がこっちを手伝った方がいいんじゃないのか。
Wouldn't he be more useful here instead of me?
今いつものおじいちゃんに捕まってて抜けられないのよ。とはじゃ対応できないでしょ。
He's stuck talking to you-know-who right now. You know you can't handle that. You know who? What? Ray was referring to an elderly patient who would demand an explanation for his prescription every time he went up to pay for his treatment. Oh, Jesus. Of course, Taku always gave him his information during his appointment, but he still questioned everything. I dealt with him a few times myself.
傷が結構深いな。デスマッチか。
This wound's pretty deep. Is this from a death match? Taku had opened the man's shirt and was now carefully examining his injury.
そうなんですけど、厳密にはちょっと違うっつうか。
Kinda, but not exactly. I mean, in deathmatch, you don't use something like a knife, right? That's so it has to be outside the arena kind of thing, right?
というと
What do you mean?
デスマッチでボコボコにされてエリアの外へ逃げたんです。でも途中で限界が来て道端でひっくり返っちゃって。
I got my ass kicked in a match, so I fled the area, but at some point my legs gave out and I fell into the gutter.
そのまま意識がなくなって目が覚めたら誰かが近づいてくる気配がして。
Then I passed out, and when I came to, I could sense somebody coming closer.
それで俺をボコったやつが追いかけてきたんだと思って逃げようとしたらすっげえ腹が痛くて動けなくて腹を見たら
I figured it was probably the same guy coming to finish me off, so I tried to get out of there, but my stomach hurt like hell, and when I looked down,
切られた傷があったと。
that's when you first noticed the cut. And it's also a cut that's life-threatening.
はいもう本当に死ぬかと思いました。起きたら腹が切れてるし血は止まらないし痛いしでパニックになっちゃって。
Bingo. I tell ya, I thought it was a goner for sure. Stomach cut open, bleeding wouldn't stop, literal agony. I panicked, man. Ray and I stepped in as needed, following orders as Taku gave them. Huh. So how did you get here?
よし、終わったぞ。
There, you're all set. Once Taku finished treating his patients, he rose from his stool. Okay, so many questions, right? First of all, how did you get here? I don't think there's ambulances. Second, how are you going to pay for all this? Because blood infusions are not cheap. Third of all, how long were you passed out, and who was it that actually approached you? Because you panicked and stuff, right? I understand that, but also, didn't you see the person that approached you? Because I'm pretty sure it was Phrase that cut you open, right? But also, like, did he leave and come back again? What happened there? Details, please.
痛み止めと抗生物質を出しておくから最後まで飲み切るように。
I'll prescribe you some painkillers and antibiotics. Make sure you take all the antibiotics, hear me?
はい
Right. The patient was still grimacing in pain, but his condition was much more stable. Nice. Taku shot a pointed look at me and Ray, then left the exam room. The two of us followed suit.
昨日と一昨日も酔っ払って外で寝てたら怪我をしたっていう患者さんが来たな。
A lot of patients lately, you pass out drunk and wake up with new injuries. There was one yesterday, and one the day before that too.
最近多いわよね。水鏡な女神だっけ？妙に噂になってるやつ。
Yeah, there's like a ton these days. Maybe it's that rumor going around. The goddess of whimsy, was it?
それは解放する方だ。今回は言うなれば切り裂き魔だな。
No, that's the lady who patches them up. In this case, I'd say it's more of a Jack the Ripper thing. Well, but all of them survive, you know what I mean? Ray squinted back at him dubiously.
じゃあ水鏡な女神さんは切り裂き魔にやられた人の怪我を治してるってこと？
What? So the goddess of whimsy goes around treating all the victims of Jack the Ripper?
全員が同一犯にやられたという断定はできん。模倣犯という線もある。
We can't be sure. Oh, wait. So maybe Phrase attacked them. Wait, what's his name again? Ikuina Takashi? What's his name? Takashi? I don't know. Ikuina-san. So he goes and, cuts them. And maybe he cut this guy. And then he approached in order to treat him. Because he always treats his victims, I guess? Yeah, his victims. He always treats them afterwards. So maybe he didn't get to this time because the wound was so severe that the deathmatch guy woke up too quickly, if you know what I mean. We can't be sure the same culprit's involved in every instance. For all we know, we might have a copycat criminal on our hands.
そう毎回水鏡な女神が都合よく通りかかって直してくれるわけでもないだろう。
Surely even a goddess can't go around tending to every single injury on the streets.
それは確かにそうだけど、トアの時は手当てされてたのよね。
I mean, sure, but when it happened to Toa, he was bandaged up afterwards, right?
ああ
Right.
手当てされた人は全員意識を失っている間に怪我をしている。
Everybody who was bandaged up got their injury while they were passed out.
すべてが同一犯じゃない可能性はあるけど、怪我と手当てがセットになっているパターンが確実にあるのよね。
It's possible there's more than one culprit involved, but it definitely seems like the injury and treatment might be a package deal. It seems like it. I mean, obviously it is. It has to be. Otherwise, how is the goddess of whatever always there when something like this happens? Obviously, it's a package deal. It wouldn't work otherwise.
それっておかしくない？手当てされてる人もみんな覚えのない怪我をしてるわけでしょ？
But if so, isn't that kind of weird? Why did the goddess's patients get injured in the first place? It seems like he can't help himself. He needs to see. So he does, and then he feels bad about it, so he bandages them up because it's kind of like a guilt thing. You know what I mean?
覚えがないってことは、意識を失ってる間に傷つけられたってことよね。
If they can't remember how it happened, then it must have taken place while they were unconscious, right?
じゃあ、意識がある状態で怪我をした人が水鏡な女神らしき人に手当てをしてもらったって話はないのかしら。
Has there ever been a case where this goddess person treated someone who was still awake? Yeah, it's the case that we were just reading on the newsletter.
もしそんなことがあったら女神さんの具体的な目撃情報が出回るはずだな。
If so, then you'd think we would hear rumors of what they look like.
でしょ？でもそういう話は全然聞かないのよね。ってことはもしかしたら。
I know, right? But we haven't, at all. So maybe.
気を失わせて怪我をさせる人と手当てをする人がグルとか？
The Ripper and the Goddess are in cahoots with each other? Or it's just one person?
さすがにそれは考えすぎだろう。そもそもなんでそんなことをする必要があるんだ。
Now you're just overthinking it. What's the point in anyone teaming up to do this shit? Well, it would make sense if it's one person, like I said, urge and guilt.
それはわからないけど、何か目的があるとか。
I don't know. Maybe they get something out of it somehow.
苦しいな。
You're grasping at straws, Paul. In Criminal Minds, I'm so sorry I keep bringing it up, but I'm rewatching it, as I said. And they say whenever someone stabs another, it's kind of like a sexual act. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's first of all, it's very, very personal because you actually physically, the stabbing is a very, very strong feeling, right? It's very, very personal. But they always kind of drive at it being kind of like a substitute for a sexual act. So it would kind of make sense that it's kind of urge driven, and then he feels sorry and bad about it, and that's why he bandages them up. I don't know. I feel like it makes sense.
そっか。
You think so? Conflicted, Ray fell silent. The conversation ended there, and we went back to the exam room. Well. After the man left the clinic, Ray and I cleaned up the exam room.
水鏡な女神と切り裂き魔。トアはどう思う？
Jack the Ripper and the Goddess of Whimsy. Toa, what do you make of all this? I just explained myself. It was the first time he'd spoken in quite some time, so clearly he was hung up about it.
さあな。
Beats me. That's our Toa. I mean, he thinks a lot more than he's letting on, right? He seems very aloof, and I'm pretty sure that he is, but also he thinks a lot about stuff. Like how he treated Equina kind of like made it clear that he thinks deeply on things.
もうちょっとは考えてよ。自分の身に起こったことじゃない。
God, Toa, just think about it for a minute. This involves you, you know.
って言われても。
So what?
もう。
Oh my god! Grumbling, Ray started to tie up the garbage bag. Just then, I caught sight of the discolored flower stem. The anonymous bouquets had withered and died.
そういえ
Interesting.
ば匿名希望さんの花止まったわね。
Come to think of it, we stopped getting flower deliveries.
あ
Uh-huh. He tied the bag up tightly.
生稲さんも全然見ないし。匿名さんからの花が連続して届いた時はどうしようって思ったけど。
And I haven't seen Equina-san like at all. I mean, I know I complained about all the flowers, but
いざ来なくなるとそれはそれで少し寂しいわ。
now that they've stopped coming, I kinda miss them. Yeah, isn't that just human whimsy?
わがままだな。
You can't have it both ways, and yet we
本
want
当
to.
ね。
Yeah,
生
I
稲
know.
さん、今時珍しい爽やか青年で密かに心の癒しだったんだけどな。
But Equina-san's such a genuine gem. I know who's the real genuine gem around here, Ray-kun. Having him around always brightened my day. That's just you, Ray. His face lit up like he thought of something brilliant.
生稲さんが働いてる花屋に行けば元気かどうかわかるじゃない。
We can see him anytime we want at the flower shop.
そうだな。
True.
とは行ってきてよ。
Toa, go over there. I thought you wanted to see him.
なんだ
Why me? I looked at him reproachfully.
行ったことあるでしょ。
Well, you've been there before. You're the one who wants to see him.
場所くらいすぐにわかるだろ。
It's not hard to find.
これは私の勘なんだけど。
Look, this is just a hunch, but he fixed me with a meaningful grin.
生稲さんってトワに興味あったんじゃないかしら。診察を受けに来た時もトワのことをずっと見てたし。
I think he's into you. What? How did you figure that? When he came by the clinic to get treated, he was staring. Bleh. When he came by the clinic to get treated, he was staring at you like the whole time. Yeah, glad you noticed. I noticed too. Ugh, it was very uncomfortable. Apparently, Ray was paying attention
あいつはフレーズだよ。
because he's phrase.
フレーズ？
Phrase?
何そ
What
れ？
does that mean? Oh, come on, Ray. Get your head in the game.
ルーストのブログに載ってただろ。傷の画像。
You remember the wound photo posted on Roost's blog?
ああ、うん。あのリスカ画像みたいな。
Oh yeah, the wristlet thing.
あの画像の作者。
He's the artist behind it.
え？嘘？
What? You're kidding! He yelped in surprise, then hastily lowered his voice.
ちょっと、なんで知ってるのよ。
Wait a minute, how do you know that?
ルーストにあいつが来た時、店長に紹介されたんだよ。
When he came to Roost that one time, the manager told me so.
そうだったの？もっと早く教えなさいよ。
You did? Why didn't you tell me sooner? He hissed quietly, then paused.
あれ？それじゃあ、生稲さんはもともとルーストを知ってたってこと？
Wait, so Ikuina-san knew about Roost?
多分な。ユーフォリアの絵が好きらしい。
Apparently, he said he's a big fan of Euphoria.
え、そうなの？それならやっぱり生稲さん、トワのことを気に入ってたんじゃない。
Wait, really? So he is into you? Ray pointed at me with a playful smirk.
なおさら、トワが花屋に行った方がいいわよ。
Well then, it sounds like you ought to get your butt down to the flower shop. Why are you trying to set me up with another guy, Ray? If you don't want me around, just tell me so.
どうだろうな。
I don't know about that.
どうして？トワもあの傷の画像気になってたんでしょ？
How come? You said you liked his artwork, right? Yeah, but he's a freak.
うちに匿名で花を
Not the good kind.
イクイナだ。
He was the one sending us anonymous flower deliveries.
え？
What? Ray's just completely on another planet at this point. He's like, what? I didn't. What? Can't you just speak what you think for once, Toa? He blinked at me wide-eyed.
そうなの？
Really?
多分な。
I think so.
もし本当に生稲さんが送ってたんだとしたら、急に配達しなくなったのはどうしてかしら？
Well, if they were really from him, then why did he stop all of a sudden? Because I told him off.
花はいらないって言ったからな。
Because I told him to.
え？
What?
いつ？
When?
この間、あいつが来た時。
The day he came to get treated.
いらないって。
So you told him to
送ってたの
stop?
生稲さんかどうかまだはっきり分かってないの？
Even though you're not totally sure it was him? Yeah, but I was pretty sure, and as they stopped, I kind of feel like my guess was validated.
ほぼ間違いなくあいつだよ。
99% sure, though. Yeah.
でも確定はしてないわけでしょ？なのにそんなこと言っちゃったの？
99 still isn't 100. Come on, Ray. So why did you tell him to stop?
実際来なくなっただろ。
I mean, it worked, didn't it? Also, like, why not tell him to stop? Toa is not interested in him. So, obviously he tells him to please lay off, right? He looked at me in disbelief, then his expression contorted in anger. What?
とはそれ謝ってきた方がいいわ。
Toa, you need to go and apologize. I mean, wait a minute, hang on. Right. Like, Toa was very brisk about it, you know? I would have let him down much more easy as well. But at the same time, he's not interested. He can't force himself to be interested in him just because he's interested in us, you know what I mean?
謝る。
What for?
生稲さんってトワの絵が好きなんでしょ？なのにそんな突き放すような言い方されたら花を送ってなくたってショックを受けるわよ。
Ikuina-san looks up to you. You can't talk to him like that. Yeah. Like, sure, it got the flowers to stop, but you probably destroyed him in the process. Oh, I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Right? Like, Toa is always way too brisk with people.
トワがどんな風に言ったのかだいたい想像できるもの。
Knowing you, I know exactly how you said it too.
それにもし本当に生稲さんが花を送ってたんだとしたらなおさら悪いわ。匿名はびっくりしたけど別に悪いことじゃないし。
Besides, even if he really was behind all the flowers, he wasn't doing anything wrong. The anonymous part was kind of weird, but it was harmless.
前から言ってるけどトワは他人に興味がなさすぎるの。だからそうやって軽率に人を傷つけちゃうのよ。
I keep telling you, you have no consideration for other people. That's why you keep hurting everyone. Oh god, this got really real.
でもあいつは
But he... I stopped short. I was going to give Ray more details about Ikuina, but on second thought, I didn't need to.
あいつは何？
He what?
いや
Nothing. Sorry,
とに
mummy.
かくちゃんと謝ってきて。連絡先とか知らないの？
Just apologize, got it? Do you have his number?
知ってる。
Yeah.
じゃあすぐにでも連絡取れるじゃない。直接会って謝るのよ。じゃないとルースと出禁にしちゃうから
Then
ね。
it shouldn't take long at all. Meet up with him in person and apologize. Otherwise, I'm banning you from Roost. Got it? Oh my god, not the booze. What was that sound? Look at him. Now that was something I could not abide. Mommy's gonna take away my PlayStation. And knowing Ray, he might really do it. I didn't understand why it pissed him off, but then again, he always took issue with my behavior. Well. Since recent developments with Ikuina were already on my mind, I simply told myself this was the perfect opportunity. Well. Okay, we're gonna call him. I headed back to my apartment, where I called him on my cell. He's not answering? What? But it just rang and rang, so instead I got dressed and headed out. Interesting. I would have thought he would, like, immediately jump to the phone. I wonder how much he's changed. Maybe, like, his vision of Toa completely shattered? I don't know. He was so smitten with him, though. Under the clear blue sky, I ambled down the sidewalk in the direction of the flower shop. Rosé. Eventually I found it, the wooden building with the big glass panels. Still very, very cute shop. I peered in through the window. No sign of Equina. Strange. As I pulled the door open and stepped inside, a female clerk ran over to me.
いらっしゃいませ。
Oh, she's pretty
何かお
too.
探しですか？
Hello. Welcome. What can I help you find today?
イクイナさんは
Equina-san. Hilarious. I love wee
イクイ
man.
ナくんはお休みです。しばらく休むと連絡がありました。
Equina's not scheduled today. He let us know he won't be coming in for a while.
そうですか。
I see.
どうも。
Thanks. Well, we tried. And with that, I walked out. If he was skipping work, then he was probably cooped up in his house, working on his art. We already know where he lives, wink wink. Maybe go over to that apartment, wink wink. I pulled my phone from my coat pocket and sent him a text asking to talk. Now all I could do was wait. Interesting. And so I headed downtown to wander around and drink some booze. Oh god. Does he ever do anything else? Jesus, criminy. Oh. Anime music. Mito. The music is really funny. I love it. Mito. During the day, the downtown area looked dull and drab. Does it? Are you not listening to the same music that we are listening to right now? The sunlight illuminated all the dirt and stains normally concealed under the darkness of night. As I walked down the washed-out street, I spotted something wriggling in the corner of my eye. There were two figures wrestling in a dark alley. Were they that unbearably horny right here in the middle of the day? Oh, I didn't get that. I thought they were just fighting. No way. I was just going to pass by, but then I heard a groan and stopped short. Maybe it's Equina. He attacked someone. It was a male voice, and it sounded like he was in pain, not the throes of pleasure. Curious, I turned in the direction of the alley. One man was lying on the ground while the other man straddled him. The man on top had both hands raised over his head, holding something that glinted in the sunlight. A knife, maybe. But I wasn't scared. I walked over to them. The man with the knife leapt to his feet. Equina, isn't it? Then he took off down the alley like a bat out of hell. I could smell something in the air. His residual scent, perhaps. It is Equina. As his footsteps retreated into the distance, the man on the ground let out a whimper. Jesus! On closer inspection, I could see a medicine vial on the ground beside him, along with a strangely shaped knife. Its blade was curved outwards. I crouched down and examined the victim. He was still moaning and twitching, dosed with something probably. The man who fled must have drugged him in order to try and stab him. Injured while lying on the street, unconscious. You just let him get away, Toa. The same thing nearly happened to this guy. I picked up the vial and the knife. The knife was a foldable one, so I tucked the blade away, then put it and the vial in my pocket. Over time, the victim would sober up and go back to his regular life. His attacker wasn't really trying to kill him. I knew this. Do you really? He might be getting worse, you know? Because I recognized the smell in the air. And I knew what it was! So Toa has actually figured everything out like we have. I turned back and headed out onto the main street. Interesting. Send him another text. We really need to talk. Oh my god, he's going to his apartment! He knows everything. Toa is so not... Oh my god, I love that. I kind of like that he's... Not all his thoughts are kind of like obvious to us. You know what I mean? Eventually, I arrived at the high-rise condo building I had woken up in once before. To see Equina. The room number was 1403. Well. Honestly, I would probably fuck with him, you know? I would actually do, like, cut out of cut out ringer. What's it called? Kind of like the name that you put in right above the doorbell. I would cut something like that out and like to put it right at his apartment door, and also on the paper box. I would put it everywhere, and so it would kind of like fuck with him, because eventually he would notice, and we would be like, "How? What?" That would be so funny. I would love that. I would actually do that. I passed through the lobby, then rode an elevator up to the 14th floor. Because we have his full name now, he's registered at our clinic. But, alas, we're going to be straightforward about this. Toa isn't as petty as we are, confirmed. Then I walked down the hall until I reached the door with 1403 on the number plate. I leaned in close to listen for any movement. No dice! But that didn't necessarily guarantee that no one was home. Interesting. He's lounging on the bed, like crying to himself. Oh my god! Toa saw me! I grabbed the knob and slowly twisted it. Oh. I mean, it would be closed, right? Naturally, it was locked. Obviously. I crouched down on the spot and pulled my lockpick wire out of my coat pocket. Oh my god! Okay, this is escalating. I lightly bent the tip, then inserted it into the keyhole. I learned how to pick locks when I was in the Takasatagumi. They taught it to us so we'd be able to break into debtors' houses if they refused to answer the door. But in most cases, people would just bust the doors anyway, so it wasn't especially useful. Interesting. Following my instincts, I worked the lockpick. Then when I felt it give, I pulled the wire out. Sorry. Then I stood up and tested the knob again. I mean, if he is inside, he would have heard us. Oh my god, everything's wilted. Jesus Christ. The door opened. I walked in and swiftly pulled it shut behind me. Like last time, the hall was overflowing with plants. You know what? You shouldn't have closed the door. And you should really text Ray your location. I stepped into the house without taking my shoes off. Then I followed the hall to the room at the end and opened the door. It's all wilted. Everything's wilted. Jesus. There I found the living room I remembered from last time. Oh, look at the bed. Look at the bed. Like before, the walls were lined with potted plants, and there was the bed I had once woken up in. Not to mention the distinct, unique smell that filled the room. It was all exactly as I remembered it, with one significant difference. The plants had all died, including the ones in the hall. They looked poisoned. Like plants like this don't just wilt so quickly and so completely. They kind of look poisoned. The floor was littered with petals, pruning shears, a knife, and other gardening supplies, almost like they were abandoned in the middle of a project. I pulled out the knife I'd retrieved from the alley and flicked it open. Then I compared it to the knife on the floor. A perfect match. Except the knife on the floor had dog red stains on its blade. What were the chances I'd find another one of these strangely shaped knives entirely by coincidence, right? I refolded the knife in my hand and put it back in my pocket. On the floor by the first aid kit, I could see dark droplets of liquid. This episode is already long enough. I would really like to cut it here, but also this is such a mean cliffhanger. Do I cut it? One more. They were dried, sticky, and faintly red. Blood, probably. I looked over at the bed and noticed something long, thin, and white mixed in with a messy streak. Okay, alright. As I approached, I realized... Oh, okay, it's an unraveled bandage. No, that's what I was thinking too. That's exactly what I was thinking. It reminded me of the time I woke up here. Then I looked over at the table. Jesus criminy. There was some sort of lump sitting there. At first I thought it was a chunk of rotten meat, but it wasn't. It was something I recognized, though it was crushed and discolored. Was this a bird once, or is this just a flower? I walked over to the table and examined the lump. It looked a lot like the wound photo posted on Ruth's blog. Phrase had created it by making a flower look like a gash. Interesting. Such a weird thing. It's such a weird idea. Which would mean this condo could only belong to one person. And the lingering scent of the man who fled matches this room perfectly. Just, you know what? Just sit in a corner somewhere and wait for him to return home. He's laughing. Toa? Now he wants to paint him, I'm telling you. He's like, oh my god, I gotta paint this guy. Slowly, my lips curled in a smile. Because he's so twisted? Toa cute? Scusa? After the sunset, I headed straight to Roost. Okay, you know what? With all these thought-provoking things happening, I feel like the next episode is kind of the episode where everything comes to a head. So I'll see you in the next one to kind of finish off the showdown between us and this weird stalker slash guy, I guess. He likes to slash people. But like, yeah, I think the next episode is going to be very revealing. Until then, I hope you have a nice week. Get yourself something lovely to drink. And I hope you're interested in how everything, kind of like turns out in the next one. I feel like the next one will be the last. So we shall see. Until then, thanks for sticking around. And thank you for being here, I guess. Sorry for the last episode and its weird audio and all that. But thank you. Anyway, have a nice evening, everyone, or day, whichever applies. Get yourself something lovely to drink, pamper yourself, you know the drill. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? Bye-bye.